this is an experience of grieving that is onset by loss when the loved one is still living, but not as they once were. And, often we think of death as, I'm sorry, we often think of grief as a something that happens in relation to death, or that death is a prerequisite to grieving. But that's not true. What I slowly began to understand is that I was grieving, but my period of grief was ambiguous. I didn't have societal norms to engage in. I didn't, a funeral or a eulogy, for example. My friends and family around me didn't know what to do.
We all want to be
Mm.
filled with hope. But you say something really important here, which is when hope is misdirected, it is as dangerous as it is good. So, talk to us about that.
Gosh, thank you. Yes. First off, feeling your grief is a shit show
Yes.
because there is no timeline. It is a very uncomfortable, destabilizing period for so many. And I do want to make just one important point about that before I move on to answering your question about hope. What I discovered in my research, my initial research, and then my ongoing research is that an overwhelming amount of us don't even know that what we are experiencing is grief. And of course, grief has long been studied, for decades now. And what we know is that it includes there are emotional and physical um, ailments that accompany grief often. And most commonly, what those present to be are depression, irritability, trouble sleeping, anxiety, loss of appetite, or um, almost overindulgent eating, recurring bouts of angerness or bitterness, or bursts of resentment that kind of pop up out of nowhere. And these are all what scientists have studied and say, is normal to happen within. It's acute grief, which happens six for about 6 to 12 months. Many gifts have actually come from this experience that I never would have had without it. And what I found was, for ambiguous grievers or anybody overcoming something, anybody who is able to really own their loss, own their challenge, own their grief, and stand proudly in it, regeneration is a better word. And so I've currently moved beyond recovery, and I'm talking to others who are in this space as well about regeneration, which again, the etymology is to be formed or created again, to be spiritually restored, reborn to a better, higher, or more worthy state, to be radically changed for the better.